Hello, my name is Albert of Albert's List, and you are watching mock interview number 102 with SysBC. She's a customer success manager, and I am here as the mock interview today, as Corey Hiramoto, who is our usual mock interview, is out on vacation. The process of this mock interview is pretty simple. I will go ahead and ask the questions based on a job description and a resume. And then what we'll go ahead and also do is have a SysBC answer, and then we'll give feedback along the way through. One way that we usually do this before we get started is we ask the job seeker that is being mock interviewed today to actually just give a quick run through of who they are and what they're looking for and what we'd like to know about them. So, Sisbisi, the floor is yours. Feel free to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about you, talk to us about your job search, what companies you might be targeting, and how somebody who's watching this might be able to help.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege for coming on the program today. Can you see me?
Yep, we can see you and hear you.
Oh, what did I press? I pressed something. Oh, sorry. Can you still see me?
Yep, we can see you.
Okay, I can see. Yes, thank you. It's a privilege for coming on the program 101 Marketing Job Search. Is it search or job interview?
This is a mock interview, and it's our
Okay,
102nd to all time.
okay, 101 more mock interview. It's a privilege to be here. My name is Fadilat Adebisi Sani. People call me Sisbisi. That's my stage name, Sisbisi. Sisbisi has been in journalism for quite a while. I study mass communication from ND, that's ordinary degree level, to BSc, to master's degree level. And I try to extend the frontier of the educational program till another level, which I have not finished. Aside from that, I've also add value to myself by going through series of professional courses that will enhance the productivity of my services at work. Right now, I am open to get job in, if it is the ministry, maybe communication department, or PR section, that's public relations section, or if it is in the law firm, we have a secretary to maybe the Apex box or something. Aside from secretary to the Apex boss in the law firm, we call it a confidential secretary. I can also feature in a broadcast station, maybe a radio station or television station. I can also feature there because I'm also a content producer and a director, and I'm also into documentary production. So in a nutshell, that's what I have been doing over the years.
Okay. And what would you like to do next in your career so that we can ask interview questions that fit your interests today?
Yes, if I want to be in this part of the world, I want to be a news producer or a
News producer. Okay.
yes, news producer or editor. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Sounds good. So, for those of you who have just joined us today, we're here to let you know that we were going to do a mock interview for a customer success manager. We have pivoted, and so BC here will do a job interview for a news producer. And so let's dream a little bit first. What is the top news organization that you would like to work for?
Thank you so very much. I have always wanted to work with BBC
Okay.
or CNN.
Okay.
If we want to domesticate in Canada, I want to work with see Canada Radio
Canada
or
Radio.
Global, yes, or Global TV.
Okay, wonderful. Well, so let's do it this way. Today, you are going to be interviewing for a news producer role at CNN, covering breaking news, international news, and domestic news in the United States. And so I'm going to go ahead and do my best to ask you some questions around what this looks like in terms of a job interview. So, SysBC, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you.
We're really hiring here at CNN. As you know, it's election season. There's a lot's going on, and we need more help for us so that we can provide the best newscasts to our audience so that they can feel as if they are being the most informed possible as they go to the polls this coming fall to vote in what promises to be a very consequential United States election. And so um, we see that you have experience doing a lot of really great work. You've interviewed people like James Cameron, which is all fantastic. Um, as you go through your job interview today, knowing that there's many different news agencies that you can speak to and work for, what especially interests you about CNN?
What interests me about CNN is the one of my traits, my character that I share with the organization. I'm a very spontaneous person, and it's one of the philosophies. The house style of CNN is to give the news at its breaking. They
Hmm.
like scooping other broadcast organization by making the news come from CNN first. And I happen to be a very spontaneous person. I want to break it as it's happening. So I share that trait with CNN. I love my job and I'm a very dogged person. As an investigative journalist, I like to see the root of the cause. And those are some of the characters or some of the house styles that make CNN outshine other broadcast organizations.
Love it. Love it. Okay, so I'm gonna go into feedback mode here. Um, I would say that it's really great, right? I think if you're identifying one of CNN's values as spontaneous news, and you believe that spontaneity is an important quality for what you think makes great news and a great quality for what you have, then I think you'll do really well with that. I don't
Thank
know about CNN's hiring standards when it comes to where news is, but I think that if that's something that they believe in too, then you've hit the nail on the head. I would
you.
say that uh, you know, given just you would get this answer by researching their values, what they talk about on their HR website, and so forth. And so, yes, and for the audience, by the way, you can also ask questions as well in the webinar chat, and we can borrow some of those to also ask SysBC too. Cool. So wonderful. So let's move into some situation-based questions. It's great to hear that you want to work at CNN and on a daily basis here, just given where everything is going on here in the United States and abroad, there's a lot that happens. So
A lot.
imagine for a moment that breaking news occurs close to the end of a broadcast that you're producing. How would you adjust your plans to ensure that the story is covered effectively while maintaining the quality of that overall broadcast?
A news is breaking. I want to get the question right. A news is breaking when it's close to my shift.
When it's close to the end of your shift. So
Yes,
let's say,
when it's
yeah,
close to the end of my shift, the news is breaking.
yep,
Number one, when it's close to my end of shift, number one, I have all my reporters in different beats.
hmm
So if a reporter at a beat is sending news to this newsroom as it's breaking, number one, that reporter has credibility. It's not a social media. If it is a social media we are getting the report from, we are going to signpost that a report coming from an individual that is yet to be verified. So in case it turns to be another thing tomorrow, and we are going to tell them that this is what is happening according to an eyewitness, this is what is happening at XYZ, but we are going to be giving you an update to that news as time goes by, or in a subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, we want it to come from our station first. We are going to be announcing, giving credits to the individual or the gentleman that sent it, because there's usually a column for individual to send in things that journalists could not catch across the world. So I would try to credit that, or if it's my reporter, according to my reporter at social place, this is what is happening, and we are going to be giving you updates on that incident in our subsequent bulletin.
Wonderful. Okay. So that was a situational question. And so there is, to some degree, no wrong answer with that. What the format of that is for anyone watching is that when you do a situational question, the purpose of your answer should be to really showcase that you understand how things work within a newsroom. And based on what you know on how things work in a newsroom, you are to provide your standard operating procedure for how you ensure that things don't go off the rails when breaking news hits. And so for you, you're ensuring that the folks who are on the beat and out in the field are giving the appropriate right answers, or not giving the appropriate answers, but giving clear interviews, and you're able to transition into your next show very clearly. Cool. So let's try another question here. And if those of you who are watching have any questions, please feel free to chime in as well. So this is another question. Tell me about a challenging news story that you had to produce. What was the situation? What actions did you take? And what was the result?
Thank you very much. One of the challenging situation report that I have produced was when during a gubernatorial election, it was a presidential election, and I was on the beat. I was leading a team, and we were in a sitting governor's house. No, a sitting governor's polling unit. From there, we moved to one of the candidates, and at that point, we experienced some polling ballot boxes being snatched. You
okay.
know, ballot boxes. That was the first time I will be seeing right before my eyes people snatching ballot boxes. I used to think it was just a make-believe. And at that time, I was working for the federal government. Yeah, as a federal government worker, journalist in my country, as much as we want to report it at its ears. There are some rules and regulations guiding the house style of my organization then, especially when it has to do with a sitting government, when they are seeing that the way people, because it's the social media world where when they are counting, everybody is sending the result to the social media. And when they are seeing the body language that the sitting government it may not be coming in, maybe out-seated some of the members. Some of the members, maybe I don't want to call them hooligans, they carried the ballot boxes live and direct with gun, and we have an independent station that was reporting it live. We were there with our OB van, but there was a kind of way that we had to maneuver based on our house style. Let for me, I would have, if I was working with an independent television station, I would have been reporting it the way it's happening. I would be showing it the way they were carrying it. But then we tried to maneuver somehow, just because it is the body language of the federal government, that is the same party of the gubernatorial governor who happened to be who wanted to go for the second time, So according to our house style, we had to manipulate that news, and that's one of the one of the ethics when they say journalists are also editorials. It is what we want the public to know that we unleash to the public. Sometimes we try to doctor, and that's one of the challenging moments that we had to look at the body language of the government in power. At the same time, the ethics, the freedom, there was no total freedom for journalists to unleash what is happening to the public at that material time. So it's one of the challenging time for me at that time.
And so what was the result of you having to navigate? So just to
we
read
were
this back.
reporting we went showing the way
Mhm.
the independent station was showing it. We went showing at the same time we were reporting that some ballot boxes were being snatched. We are still in the process of getting where do they belong to, which party, even when we knew that it was the party of the sitting government. So we just tell that we keep them posted as the event unfolds. But at the moment, some ballot boxes are being snatched from at the headquarters,
Gotcha. Okay.
under the
So
duress of gun shooting into the air.
yeah. So okay. So that was a star question, right? So for those of you watching at home, it's situation, task, action, and result. And so with regards to that, I think you told a clear story. I think that what's always important about telling a star story is that you need to definitely keep it organized. So in your case, you were covering a story for an election where ballot boxes were being stolen. And what made it tough was that the ruling government was the ones who were stealing this. And so as an independent journalistic entity, you had to do your best to report the truth as it was occurring. And as a result, you were able to get that news out to the right people so that they could get the truth as they tried to learn more about what their government was doing.
Yeah.
Good. Let's do another question. So, the news industry is fast-paced and constantly changing. Can you provide an example of how you adapted to a significant change or unexpected event during production?
Yes, because one of the ethics of journalism is that our content is so perishable, and uh, our content diminishes as fast as possible. With that being said, if I am on duty, gone are the days that, because due to the perishable nature of our content, if I'm on news at 1 o'clock, the costume I use at 1 o'clock is not going to be the same that I use at 3 o'clock, or it's not
Mm,
going to be the same that I use at 10 o'clock news live. Because at 10 o'clock news live, uh, that will be one of the busiest belts that we have, because people will have been coming back, returning to their homes. They want to hear the network news at 10. Meanwhile, if I had been given an update maybe at the top of the hour earlier on, the costume or the attire I was putting on at that time would be different from what I'll be using at news 10 o'clock news at 10. Meanwhile, aside from that, if we are giving an update on an issue, if there's a reportage that we are signposting at the top of the hour, for it not to be monotonous and the perishability of the nature of our content, we might be taking different angles of the same story to
mhm.
make it as fresh as possible, because we said our news is perishable,
Okay.
because because of the transient nature. we might be giving same story from different angles so that in order to keep our audience, for them to be able to glue to, oh, I've listened to this earlier. Oh, I've seen this twice today. Oh, I've seen this thrice today. But if we keep changing the incident, because a story might have different segments. So
Yeah.
if we keep using different segments of that story, it will be like an update. It will not be so monotonous to people because we say our content are perishable, our content are transient in nature. They go fast and they diminishes quickly. So as it diminishes, for us not to be bringing it back to avoid monotony, then we keep changing different segments of the story to make it as fresh as possible. Is
Wow.
that the
Okay.
question?
Yes,
That
no,
answer all the
that's
question?
really that's really good. So like I've never spent a day in TV news, but I do watch a lot of news and I consume a lot of news. And what I understood you to say there was that you have to find ways to make news continuously interesting because news is perishable. And so I like that, I think that it's a great answer. I don't know if it's an answer that you'll hear often in the industry, but I think that it's fantastic. And I think that, yeah, I mean, we all have access to mobile apps and our own news sites. And, even though I might know what's going on that day, I still might go to a CBS or NBC News live streaming on YouTube just to get some insights as news breaks. So I think that's fantastic. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay. Um, let's look at a few more answers, a few more questions here that we can help. So producing news requires working under tight deadlines. How do you manage your time and prioritize tasks to ensure all segments are completed on schedule?
Yes, it is the nature of our job. If a news is going at 4, all my reporters must send in all their rushes by 12 or 1. And we monitor from different stations. That's
Mhm.
why we are fast writers. As the news come in, we try to write all editorials out quickly and the news bulletin as it's coming, because we are in the age of convergence. As it's coming, as I'm writing it, I'm sending it to the next person, and from there is going to the presenter, and from there through the network of all our computers. So as a producer, I know that our news is not 4:01. News at 4 is 4 on the top of the hour. So all my reporters know that latest 1 o'clock, all news going for that day must be sent in. They know they must send in something in their various beats. And we swung in immediately. I swing in into action, and all other people, we done by 2 o'clock. It will have been over, because we swung in immediately. Did something came in, and we're done by 2. By 2:30 is already going to the studio manager, to all other editors or directors, to the presenter, and everybody gets his or her own copy. And if there's going to be a change, is we can take any changes, goes to the presenter in the newsroom. We just add another copy, and the presenter will just put it as one of the papers that's going on. So is a top priority. I don't joke. I will never joke with that. I have never had a joke with deadline. Deadline is number one. There's in my organization, they said deadline is number one, then the home comes second. That's what my boss used to say. So deadline is top priority.
Yep. So this is an important question because I think project management spans across all different types of work, whether you are a software developer, marketing manager, or television news producer. And so to answer this question in the way that you did is, good. You have to really open the hiring manager's eyes to how you manage your time so that, in your case, right, if news doesn't make it to that 1 p.m. deadline, it might be going out at 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock instead. And by that time, it might be, as you've been saying, the news might have perished. And
Yes,
so it may
dead.
not be as interesting as before. Yeah. Let's do one that I think would be very interesting to the crowd here and really interesting in general, given where things are these days. How do you ensure the accuracy and fairness of the news stories you produce? Can you provide an example of how you handle a situation where the accuracy of a story was in question?
Yeah, the you said the accuracy and
Yeah, so how do you ensure that a story is accurate and fair? And can
okay,
you tell me
accuracy
about a
and fairness.
situation when you had to deal with a story that may not have been accurate and fair and what you did about it?
So accuracy and fairness, these are key. These are key points to our profession. Meanwhile, they may be the technicality of accuracy and fairness is at the mercy of the house style of each organization. I will explain that. As much as we were taught in school about being accurate, that it is not news if it is not accurate, it is not news if it is not fair, because we have to look at all round to the story. It has to be balanced before it can be said to be fair or to be accurate. Now, by the time you get on the job and you were given the house style in the organization, sometimes you may be handicapped when it comes to accuracy. But if it's an independent organization that has no affiliate with the government, or it's not about who that pay the pipers dictate the tune, or it's not having any political undertone, or it's not about maybe religious indoctrination, or those that are sponsoring, they are manipulating. If we devoid of the outer of all those uh, adjectives or all those criteria I've just highlighted, if is an independent organization that has no affiliate or no iota of any sentiment whatsoever, the accuracy and the fairness will be utmost, because I, as a person, I don't joke with accuracy and fairness when it comes to the content I unleash, if I am given the power or if I am given the opportunity. Meanwhile, going by what has happened in the past, there was a time that the workers were trooping out, and there was just a peaceful protest. Later on, it degenerated into different sort of things. It started with a peaceful protest, and we were covering that event, but it degenerated into military and police, contributing and trying to tear gas the workers.
Hmm.
Now, who gave the military the authority to tear gas or to come into a peaceful protest? It must have come from the government. So this is what is going on. I had to put a call through to my director that tear gas, we are going to cover this and showcase the way it is done. Meanwhile, my director was saying that just cover it mildly, not too in depth. But other stations will be covering it in depth. But because then I was working with a federal government organization, the way what my director told me, I told my cameraman not too deep. Even though we did everything, by the time we were doing the editorials, we're cutting, we're cutting, we're cutting because of the directives. So those are some of the things that hampered the productivity, or the speed at which some of the ethics we were taught in the school, that if it is not accurate, it is not news. If it is not fair, you must be able to listen or to go deep into all sides of the story before you unleash it to the public. It must not be one-sided. At the same time, though we try to look at the side of the protesters, and we also look at the version of those who are tear gassing, their public relation officer, they spoke to us. We tried to look at to balance the story, but we were not able to showcase how it was happening. And it was because I was handicapped at that time. I led the team, but I was handicapped.
Amazing. So I think my one feedback for you, CSBC, through the entire interview process that we've had today is that it's clear to me that you're very passionate about the news. I think I've learned a lot about the news over the last 35 minutes just listening to you talk.
Thank you.
I think in the interview process, one of the things that is important though is to be organized in the answers that you give. So you give really great stories. I think that you really shared a lot of fantastic philosophy around the nature of collecting fair and balanced news and whether news can be fair and balanced given the viewpoints that you can gather in the limited amount of time that you can gather. And I think that you give a really great answer, and you can give an even better answer with the stories that you already have by saying like, so how do you ensure the accuracy and fairness, right? So you would say something along the lines of, here's what I believe about news that is accurate and fair, and whether accuracy and fairness is even possible in the first place. And then let me give you an example about where this happened once. We encountered an event as a news crew where there were people who were being tear gassed for protesting. And this was an event where that challenged our ability to do accurate and fair news because of the following reasons: 1, 2, and 3. And the way we handled it was we did our best to interview everyone that we had that were involved. And the reason why we did it in this way it was because of standards 1, 2, and 3. And because we followed those standards 1, 2, and 3, it allowed us to be viewed more credibly by the community and so forth. And so having that sort of order of answers, like that's why we have the STAR method, right? With situation, task, action, and result, allows a hiring manager like myself, who may be frazzled and worried about everything going on during the day, and having to take time out of my day from producing a newscast to speak to someone who's applying for a job, a chance to be like, okay, CSBC understands what she's doing, she gets it, and here's how she's explaining it to me. And yes, now this makes a ton of sense. So that's that I think is really, really good. Yeah. Yep. And so let's see. We have some comments from the audience as well. Let me read through this. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Yeah. She says, look into the camera a bit more so you look more engaged. You've been often, I think, looking to your left. Answer questions in a more succinct format. Yep, just like I mentioned, star and all sort of that. And then I think update the banner photo on your LinkedIn profile. So it's a photo of you or a picture or a statement. Currently, it's a cutoff photo, and you can use something like Canva. So fantastic. Yeah. So
thank you so much.
yeah, absolutely. I'm going to do one more question and then we'll go ahead and conclude it here today. I want to once again thank you for volunteering at a very, very last moment to do this. I'm glad that we were able to put something together. So the final question I have for you is, there are many, many news organizations out in the world that do their news really, really, really well. What is a news organization that you admire, and why do you admire them?
Like I said, I admire BBC so much. Like there are some programs that I watch. I don't joke with hard talk. Yeah, I don't joke with hard talk. There are some podcast programs that I also admire from them. And aside from that, this Queen's English takes me to another level when they're reading news on BBC. So that's so primary for me, and some of their content. As a matter of fact, I followed right from the outset. I always tiptoe the content of the BBC. I love the content. I love some of the style, because when you look at BBC radio, they are so in-depth when it comes to documentary production. They are so in-depth when it comes to podcast. So aspiring from Africa, if you actually want to make bold out there to be someone people will reckon with, you have to look up to those who have done it over the years. And one of those that have done it over the years is BBC. They are in-depth, the way they ask questions, spontaneous, direct, fearless, and very, very down to earth. I give it to hard talk presenter. I want to remember his name now. And another one on CNN is Aman Paul. Aman
Oh,
Paul. Oh my
Christiane.
goodness.
Yeah,
Yes.
Christiane Amanpour.
Yes. Aman Paul is now with Al Jazeera. If she's still
Mm-hmm.
there, the last time I saw her, she was at Al Jazeera. Oh my goodness. You need to see the way she command that program when she asks questions, direct to the point, the way she asks questions. And those were, over the years, those were the, how should I call it, the role model that I have looked up to, that I have admired. Those were the stations. Because of those personalities, I have admired those stations over the years and their content to, add value to myself also. When we have crowd of journalist conference in the whole state, if the whole governor of a state could say Voice of Nigeria correspondent, Southwest correspondent, has done the federal government good. If one could be one's name could be signposted among the whole journalists in the whole state, that means one has been looking up to role models in those stations I have highlighted, and one has been able to add value to oneself. So in this industry, those were the stations that I've admired, and due to their content, I have also worked my way to the top through them. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wow. Fantastic answer. I think again, being concise with your answers is always good too. And I think you have a really good chance at landing a great job. And so thank you so much for volunteering today. Do you have any final thoughts for our audience? And this is not an interview question. This is just so that folks can learn more about you, or getting in touch with you for, say, let's say, broadcast journalism opportunities that maybe you could be considered for.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's good to be a volunteer today. If you want to connect with me for any opportunities, or if you have any ideas for me, I've always opened my heart to learning from people, getting advices from people. If you have advice for me, if you have any networking programs for me, or if right now I'm in Richmond in United States of America, but I reside in Canada. If you have any opportunity for me, my email address, I will type it there, and you can check me on LinkedIn. If you type my name, I'll give you my name there. I'll type my name. If you type my name on LinkedIn, you can see me on LinkedIn. Any advice, I'm open to advice. I'm open to any opportunity. I'm open to any networking, and I will be glad that you network with me. I'm so humbled to receiving any of your advices or opportunity or networking, so to speak. Thank you so very much. I'm humbled to be a volunteer today. Thank you.
All right. Well, wonderful. Thank you everyone again so much for watching. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the pivot that you were able to make with us. we have many more events going on starting next week as we go deeper into July.
Yeah,
And we
someone,
hope, yeah,
sorry, can I say something? Someone brought my my LinkedIn is already there.
yep, I put your LinkedIn in there.
Thank you. So
Yep,
my LinkedIn is there, so you can just network with me.
wonderful,
Yeah, I think,
wonderful.
yeah, thank you.
Yep. So we have many more other events coming up, and feel free to take a look at those in the Eventbrite link here below. And we look forward to seeing you soon. For those of you in America, we wish you a wonderful July 4th holiday, and for those around the world, a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you all so much for watching, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.